going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is Friday, June 5th, 2020, and this is episode 329, part number 1 of the best damn podcast in the IWC, Off the Script. I have a loaded show for you guys this afternoon, as loaded as a Titus baked potato coming out of the oven in catering during SmackDown, man. Beautiful. Beautiful. Roasted to perfection, some sour cream, some cheddar, maybe a little bit of provolone. I'm a provolone guy. Some bacon bits, some chives. Delicious. Delicious. I don't know if my show's going to be as good as that. Now I'm kind of hungry. But I got a loaded show for you guys this afternoon. And the circus that is WWE only becomes more hilarious as the weeks go by. Listen to what we got in store for you guys today. Listen to this. WWE, as you all know, has been using NXT Talent as fans during all of their sets of tapings. WWE has taped Raw, SmackDown, NXT, some pay-per-view matches. They've even taped the AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan IC title tournament final already. Main event, 205 Live, and whatever else WWE has in the pipeline. All taped. WWE has this NXT Talent there inside the Performance Center. And they are being instructed, these poor souls are being instructed by management over the PA system inside the Performance Center to be more lively at recent WWE TV tapings. Now, you're asking these people to do God's work if you want them to be more lively when Baron Corbin is on TV. You're asking them to do God's work when Nia Jax is on TV. And even at that point, if God himself was there, it would be such a struggle for even him to be more lively at these shows. Not even God himself would want to do his own work if Nia Jax was in the ring. This was described as being a parent talking down to a child. And that's not even it, folks. Wait till you see the treatment of the NXT Talent by WWE Main Roster management for their inclusion during these sets of tapings, man. Absolutely terrible. It makes you wonder if any of these people even want to be a pro wrestler in WWE after this experience inside the Performance Center. And if you think that's bad, man, oh my goodness. Our good buddy D-O-double-G, Road Dogg, is back at it. Oh, you didn't know? Clearly, he don't know shit. He says this on Corey Graves' podcast. Yeah, two clowns getting together discussing business. He says this. Listen to this, folks. If Adam Cole were the size of Karrion Kross, he'd already be Universal Champion. Now, I don't know what you guys think of when you hear something like that being said. But when I hear something like that being said publicly on a WWE podcast, that means to me that A, Adam Cole needs to get out immediately. B, Adam Cole and his main roster future is doomed to fail. And C, anybody as good as Adam Cole, though he's short and labeled a vanilla midget, will never succeed on the main roster towards a certain point or past a certain point in the eyes of Vince McMahon. That's what that means to me. So Road Dogg pretty much giving you a glimpse into his crystal ball when it comes to Adam Cole on the main roster in WWE. And that's not all he said, folks. So we're going to go over exactly what he talked about with Mr. Clown himself, Corey Graves, on After the Bell. And then, as always, I got my usual SmackDown ratings and SmackDown news, and CM Punk chimed in like everybody else did on WWE's lack of sympathy for Jeff Hardy, CM Punk actually came out and said that them using Jeff Hardy's sobriety is a very fragile thing. So we'll go over that as well. And Rob Gronkowski was officially released from the WWE. You might not have seen it, but I actually held a ticker tape parade down my street. Balloons, clowns, confetti, fireworks, cold beverages. Man, I couldn't wait to celebrate the release of Rob Gronk from WWE. At least we had some good news this week coming out of the E. And you got some good news in your sub boxes, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on the podcast. We're going to go over all this stuff in just a little bit. Let me get my usual shit out of the way. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. I would really appreciate it. 31,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you guys so very much. We're nearing 9,000 followers on Instagram, so I appreciate you guys very much for that. If you missed any of my previous content, man, we had a ton of content this past weekend. Off the Script 328 was 3 parts. Make sure you guys go and check that out on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then we went right back at it with Monday Night Raw. We dissected Monday Night Raw like we always do because it was a terrible show, and I gave my pitch, and I'm sure I will talk about it tomorrow as well on the podcast, about Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio and them officially adding his son Dominic Mysterio to the overall storyline that we're seeing between those two men on Monday Night Raw. How WWE could really take Seth Rollins from where he is now to being the best and baddest heel in all of WWE. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow. But if you guys want my thoughts on it, link is down in the description of this very video. Also, AEW Dynamite, Cody Rhodes, and his first TNT Championship title defense against Jungle Boy. I give my thoughts on that. And I went live on Thursday with NXT. And if I could really pull it from the show, I'm going to play you the heated rants from my NXT review in regards to Drake Maverick and WWE just really embarrassing themselves, not only with this Cruiserweight Championship interim tournament, but man, oh man, that Drake Maverick storyline and the way that they concluded all of that on Wednesday, I ranted so hard live on YouTube on Thursday. I might actually pull it and put it in the podcast for you guys. It was something to really listen to. And I know a lot of you guys actually enjoyed the storyline. Some of you did not like it, like me. But man, after you hear what I have to say about this, you might be thinking something else completely different in regards to the Drake Maverick storyline and how WWE handled all of that throughout this entire tournament. So if you guys missed any of that, links are down in the description of this very video. If you want to support the podcast via Patreon, you can always do that as well. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. If you guys want to subscribe and follow the Twitch channel, I've been on there 3 days a week regularly for the past couple of months, man. I'm loving it. Been playing some Call of Duty. You're going to be playing some Last of Us 2 coming out on the PS4. So if you guys want to join my community over there and my family, we're building a great little family over there on Twitch. That is down in the description as well. Twitch.tv/JDfromNY. So make sure you guys check that out. And as always, hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications for the very best in all of the IWC right here on YouTube with Off the Script. And I would always appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Let's try, guys, really, let's try for 2,000 likes on the video. Helps out the video tremendously. When you guys don't show up, neither does YouTube. When you show up, then YouTube pushes the video. That's all I could say in the most simplest of ways. It's all on you guys, and I appreciate all your love and support. Let's start at the top, man. I'm going to start off with this Road Dogg story because this is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Road Dogg was on After the Bell with Corey Graves, and he said if Adam Cole were the size of Karrion Kross, he would already be Universal Champion on the main roster. Now, I took this to be highly offensive just by that one line, but he was on the entire show. So Corey Graves interviewed Brian James, a.k.a. Road Dogg. Oh, you didn't know? You know, the guy that called me a no-talent hack on social media last week. James has worked for WWE as a writer. Obviously, in the later portions of his career, he was a former WWE Tag Team Champion. He's a Hall of Famer with D-Generation X. He was the head writer of SmackDown with, who the fuck was it? I forgot his name. Some dude from NXT. I forgot his fucking name, man. but it's escaped me right now. Last year, he was a co-head writer for SmackDown, and he stepped away because he could not handle working with Vince McMahon, and he moved into a creative role with NXT. Now, Dogg talked about a lesson he learned from Vince McMahon when it comes to hearing creative ideas from talent. Now, I didn't even know this was a thing in WWE, but apparently Road Dogg is pulling out these fucking fairy tales. He's pulling out these fucking myths from WWE. Vince McMahon listening to talent on creative ideas? Where? Is there a WWE? Because this ain't coming from World Wrestling Entertainment. He says this, and I quote, "If their idea is better than mine, I will always go with their idea." Granted, it's NXT. I mean, NXT operates a little bit differently than the main roster, but that's what he says he does in NXT. And if that's Triple H's way of life there with creative, then you got a thumbs up from me. And that's actually something I learned from Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon now or Vince McMahon back in the Attitude Era? Because Vince McMahon now, he ain't listening to nobody. He ain't looking at nobody and listening to their ideas. It's his way or the highway. He said, even if their idea is not as good as yours, but it gets you to the same place, let them have their way because it empowers them. Vince has taught me so much about stuff like that. End quote. Now, I don't believe a word out of his fucking mouth. I really don't. Because the lesson that Vince McMahon has taught him about letting these talents feel like they're in somewhat control and they feel empowered isn't really what we hear throughout all of the news and the rumors and the reports about Vince McMahon. We always hear that Vince McMahon is always the type of guy that lays down the law. He's rewriting scripts. Every single week last year, we were hearing Vince McMahon rewriting scripts without any care in the world for what was going on. Whether there was a logic gap here that wasn't filled or a talent that was doing something, it was completely erased to fit Vince McMahon's vision for that day. He never had a long-term vision about anything. He wants it, he's going to do it. If he sees something, even if it's a long-term idea, he's going to go with it and not listen to anybody else's ideas, talent, or writer. It's always going to be on Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is always the final stay. Or say. How many stories have we read about wrestlers approaching Vince McMahon? I mean, you could go back and listen to fucking Heath Slater, just as of a couple of weeks ago. How many stories have we heard about Vince McMahon and wrestlers and talent approaching Vince McMahon and giving them ideas, or giving management ideas and giving their ideas for what they want to do, what they could be doing on TV when they're not currently being used, how to maybe get back into the swing of things on WWE TV. How many times have we heard and read stories about this, and Vince and their talents going back and forth, having objections to bad ideas, ideas being rejected? It's great that Vince will give talent somewhat of a, I guess, floor to speak, but it never results in anything. It's always as if they are there. Vince, out of respect for that talent, whoever it may be, gives them their piece, and then he never listens to them anyway. It's almost as if Vince is the father and his talent and the roster are little children. Daddy, can I go to the candy store and get some candy? Right? And then Vince is telling them, no, you can't do that. It's going to ruin your appetite. So Vince just lets them complain and lets them get their piece in and their say. And he'll say, I'll take it into consideration. And then goodbye. And then he never acknowledges it again anyway. That's all we heard. That's all we hear about from these ideas. But how often does this actually happen? Where Road Dogg explained, let them feel empowered. How often does Vince McMahon give these talents and these superstars the freedom to go in there and do some of their storylines with their own ideas, as long as it gets to the same ending or it has the same end result as Vince McMahon? I don't see that ever happening. And if it does happen, it's not happening for anybody in the mid-card or at the bottom of the barrel on the card. It's going to happen for a guy like Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins or an AJ Styles or a Daniel Bryan, right? Guys that are in that elite level. It's not going to happen for everybody. So I don't know why he just makes it so simplistic and it comes off as, oh, everybody can do that. Everybody's going to get a chance to use their ideas. Why doesn't he be open and honest with everybody? That's what I don't understand. Then, James offers his thoughts on scripted promos and micromanaging talent in WWE. Now, we all know AEW has a better presentation than WWE when it comes to promos and just getting talent over in words with the microphone, right? Now, there were reports before AEW even started that there were going to be no writers, there were going to be no scripts, everybody was going to go out there, be given bullet points on what to talk about, and then you own the microphone, you get your character and what you're trying to sell over to the audience, and it's worked out beautifully. I mean, just look at everybody else on that roster. You're going to script Cody Rhodes? Absolutely not. Cody Rhodes probably has a good idea about what he wants to talk about, and he goes out there and he is himself. Everybody along that elite level in AEW is going to be doing that. You don't really see these guys cutting promos every single week. It's always the same guys, like a Cody or an MJF. Can you imagine AEW giving MJF a script and saying, go out there and read that. Go out there and recite this written by some other person that doesn't know your character at all and is pretending to be you? How is that, in any sense of the word, better than having a guy like MJF pen his own promos? You're going to take a fucking script from some fucking barely in college geek and write a promo for MJF? Are you fucking serious? Can you imagine MJF in WWE on the main roster? Can you imagine how we would all think of MJF? Now, MJF might be like The Miz in WWE, and that's never a good thing. The Miz is not cool. MJF is cool. MJF cutting an unscripted promo on somebody and calling them whatever the fuck he wants to call them is good television. That is letting your talent be free. That gives the talent a sense of, hey, my company trusts me. Hey, my company sees something in me. Hey, my company appreciates my character and wants me to expand on what I've built here with this said character. I don't know why WWE doesn't do that, but Road Dogg, D-O-G-G, says this: there are some talent nowadays that you can trust to fill in the blanks, and there's definitely some talent that you cannot trust. So, let me get this straight. He says that there is some talent you cannot trust. In what way is that coming off? Is it a way where you can't trust them to go out there and just take bullet points? Or you don't trust them because they're not going to cut a good promo? And if it's that second thing, then why don't you teach them to cut a good promo and really nail it home and work with them on cutting that good promo? At a point in every pro wrestler's career, you should be given from management the ability to go out there and sell your character on your own, in your own words, away from a fucking script written by some fucking pencil-pushing four-eyed geek and creative who came over from writing fucking Days of Our Lives who doesn't know a goddamn thing about pro wrestling. You should be in the boat of building that trust between talent and management and talent. I hate hearing that. There's some talent I cannot trust or we cannot trust. Why? Why? It's your job to get them to that point for you to trust them. And why wouldn't you trust them? Are these people going to go out there and sabotage your own show? They're employed. I don't think anybody's going to go out there and willingly ruin their job and their reputation with the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. It's a matter of fact that WWE doesn't trust anybody, period, and they are unwilling to change their ways. They want to micromanage because they need to feel in control. If they're not in control, then WWE doesn't operate. They need to feel in control. So, as far as micromanaging goes, I was guilty of this for sure. People up the ladder from me are too. But it's because of that. There's so few that you can just go, yeah, I can let him go and he's not going to say the wrong thing, and he's not going to do the wrong thing. It's actually better if I let him be him, or if I let her be her. This idea that so few wrestlers in WWE can be trusted to talk without a script is very alarming in my eyes, and it really doesn't speak well as far as the relationship goes between management and talent, and then talent back to management, you know? And then, like I said before, how does this look on WWE's end if they cannot trust talent to cut a promo? What type of business are you running where you are so out of the loop? Isn't it your job to develop and nurture talent? Why aren't they at the stage in which you can trust them? I don't get it. This is what you're in the business for, to mold talent for future generations. And you're here on this show saying that you can't trust people for whatever reason. That's your fucking job. Teach them. The shows would have better life if everybody didn't come off like a fucking scripted android. Promos have always been a crucial skill in pro wrestling. And WWE has dropped the ball time and time and time again. This is the biggest pro wrestling company in the world, and they have some of the worst promos outside of a legend or outside of a guy that we all know is in the upper class of elite in WWE. You're not going to see a guy like Otis go out there and cut an unscripted promo. You're not going to see a guy like, who could it be? It could be a guy like Ali or a Ricochet go out there and cut an unscripted promo. This is one of the biggest traits that a pro wrestler needs to develop. And WWE, seemingly, from what Road Dogg says, they don't have the ability to nurture and bring talent to that most important step. So he continues by saying this, and I quote, "They can't fathom the intricacies that go into it. Cutting a promo and talking. They can't really fathom the intricacies that go into it. I mean, I could cut a promo on this channel in front of this camera with this microphone, and you mean to tell me that your talent is having problems cutting promos? They can't fathom the intricacies of it? I mean, there's a better time, or there's no better time than now to fucking practice on that. There's no fucking fans. So get them to a point where when we do get fans in the building, that they're ready to go. We got to keep the lights on," he says. "We're trying to pay the power bill. It's the big picture stuff. We have a way we shoot TV, we have a way that the promos are cut, and that's the problem, dog. That's the problem. You're too stuck in your old ways. There's a way we shoot TV. Yeah, it's outdated. It's antiquated. There's a way we cut promos. Yeah, it's outdated. It's antiquated. And it's to rise above that wrestling, that old school. They can't fathom this guy is a loose cannon. He might say a curse word or something. No, that's you and the trust issue management has on talent. I don't really see anybody that's under a 5-year fucking contract, a 3-year contract, a 2-year contract, going out there and dropping an F-bomb on WWE TV. I don't think anybody's in this business to willingly ruin their own career and their reputation with the biggest pro wrestling company in the world. He might say a curse word or something, so we script this promo, and you have to do it word for word now because we don't trust you. How terrible is that? How awful is that from management? It's terrible. So WWE has a certain way that they want you to cut promos. It's fucking, like I said, antiquated. And watching this company through all the years, it's gotten worse and worse at worse. It just isn't getting the job done. And nobody from the current crop of guys has come out and risen to the occasion as a top-level guy in the company. There's nobody in that company that has been labeled a big star for a long time now. And how many of these guys that we look at and consider legends, how many of them had the nature or the ability to just cut a promo off the cuff? Edge, Randy Orton, The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, guys like that, The Rock. Have we ever had a guy, Mick Foley? How many guys nowadays could you really relate to that are like that? Could you ever see anybody in WWE writing for those types of guys? Absolutely not. That's why you don't have top stars. Everybody comes off feeling the same. They all sound the same. They all look the same. They all just generate the same tone. It's awful. He says if wrestlers want more freedom, and I can imagine that's frustrating for superstars as well, the fact that they got to be scripted every word for word, even down to the fucking tone. And if the wrestlers want more freedom, he says, they should be more like John Cena. Now, I know that may pain you because there are a lot of John Cena haters out there. This is what he says about that. And I quote, a lot more lately, especially with promos, they're including talent. John Cena would sit in the writer's room for 8 hours. He would say, hey, what do you think about this? And spit out a line. And his promos were gold, right? In my eyes, John Cena is one of the best promos in the history of WWE. He spent the time. A lot of the wrestlers would get their promo and go, okay, cool, yeah, I like this. Okay, well, it's your character. If you're a wrestler and you have a 10-minute segment where it's a promo and a match, and you don't take the time to make sure that's the best it could possibly be, that ain't on the writer. That ain't on Vince McMahon. As much as you like to put it out there so you can be talent ready and talent friendly, that's on the talent. So, all because they're not spending 8 hours in the fucking writing room, that means you won't give them the creative freedom? I don't understand that. Are they even allowed in the writer's room for 8 hours? Is there even room for them to be in the writer's room like a John Cena for 8 hours and go over what they're going to say? How do you know who's working and not working? How do you know who's working harder than anybody and who's not doing anything? I don't get it. It is on Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's the one micromanaging. Vince McMahon is the one laying down the law. Vince McMahon's rule just floats throughout the entire company. And if this is the way Vince McMahon wants, of course it's on Vince McMahon. As much as you'd like to put it out there, it's on the talent. There's only so much that the talent can do when being given a script written by some fucking geek who doesn't know what the character is about or how to feel about the character. So why don't you let the character go in there and write a promo? Just let them go. Write a promo for themselves. Give them the foundation of what they need to write about and where they're going with this. Have them come up with something, read it off to you, and then you guys can work together as a team and figure out this thing so that it's less formulaic, so that it's less antiquated, so that it's more genuine. I don't understand why everybody's got to be given the same fucking promo, the same tone, and in the same way, because WWE is lazy. They don't care. They're in the business of pro wrestling, and they don't give a shit about what they're producing on TV. That's what that tells me. So, then he goes on to say, Adam Cole. He moves on to discuss some of his favorite wrestlers in NXT, and he offers this insightful comment about Adam Cole. He says, and I quote, Adam Cole is the most professional, most talented. He just gets every aspect of it. He can cut a promo. He's one of those guys where you go, I need you to do a minute. And that's all you say to him. And he gives you a minute. He gives you a minute of hiccupless verbiage that just makes you go, okay, that was perfect. Thank you. Every single time. Adam Cole's a different breed. What do you expect from Adam Cole? That's Adam Cole in a nutshell, he says. He's also a great worker. He has great psychology. Man, if he was carrying Cross's size, he would be the Universal Champion right now. And if he wasn't, I'd be wondering why. He's a dream superstar. So Adam Cole is a dream superstar who's got excellent in-ring psychology. He's got great promo skills. He's one of the best wrestlers in the fucking world. And you mean to tell me, Mr. D-O-double-G, that because of his size, he's not big enough that he won't ever be Universal Champion? Is that what you're telling me? This is an admission. This is WWE opening up that can of worms to show you how they really operate. And it shows you that no matter how great of a superstar you are, no matter how rare of a talent Adam Cole is, which, by the way, any company would fucking throw themselves at to have, it doesn't matter how good Adam Cole is. It doesn't matter how good Bianca Belair is. It doesn't matter if you can cut a promo. It doesn't matter if you are the greatest at what you do on this planet. That WWE will always bring down the political hammer. Oh, he's not big enough. He doesn't weigh a certain amount. We can't push him to his full extent because of this. It's almost as if they have roadblocks in front of them. This is the glass ceiling that everybody talks about. They don't reach for the brass ring. They don't crash through the glass ceiling. They don't reach for the brass ring. How the fuck could you if you yourself are stopping them from doing it when they themselves have all the skill and the talent needed to fucking do it plus some for years and years and years and years? Adam Cole is now you may not like Adam Cole. Some of you listening to me may not like Adam Cole because he's too small. And if you think that way, then you are a WWE shill. That's just plain as day. You are worse than the WWE. You are the main reason, you are the prime reason why this company is in this shithole that it's in. WWE has brainwashed you, and there is no escape from that now. There's no coming back. If you think Adam Cole is bad at what he does, you're a complete fucking moron. And I mean that with every fiber of my soul. Adam Cole is one of the greatest wrestlers on the fucking face of this planet. And the fact that he said that does not give me any faith for Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish on the main roster. They're all cut from the same cloth. They all came from the same fucking place. So if Adam Cole doesn't make it, then that doesn't mean any of the Undisputed Era make it. How could you look at a group like Undisputed Era? How could you look at a foursome like that and not think money? Not think, this is it. This is our future right here. You know, some of them may be of a little older age, but, I mean, Jesus Christ. If you don't see anything in Undisputed Era and you don't push them to the fucking moon and make Adam Cole the face of this fucking company or the face of a brand, why are you even in this business? At that point, it is plain as day to me that someone in the company, Vince or his team or whoever affiliated with this side of things, is out there trying to ruin WWE from within. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. There is absolutely no fucking excuse as to why when Adam Cole makes his main roster debut, there's no reason why this man is not immediately in championship discussion. There's no reason why this guy isn't looked upon as a main event level guy. Wrestlemania main event level guy. If Roman Reigns can main event 7, 8, 9, 10 WrestleManias in a row, right? What is the number? 5? If Roman Reigns can main event 5 WrestleManias in a row, then Adam Cole certainly can do that. I don't understand what's so difficult about this. Why is this so difficult for them to grasp? Look at the roadblocks. He just admitted to you that guys like this will not go as far as you think they go. This is the kind of comment that makes Vince McMahon, it presents him in such a poor light. It presents Vince McMahon in a light where I do not blame anybody for wanting him removed from whatever he does in WWE. He's living in the 80s. He's living in the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior era. You can't do that. You can't do that. This is a different day and age. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk led the way for guys that size and guys that good for breaking through to the main event of WWE. Guys like AJ Styles. If AJ Styles can do what he does on WWE TV, there should be no excuse for Adam Cole to not do the same thing. This company is absolutely fucking ridiculous. We're in a world where the size of a pro wrestler means absolutely nothing. Nothing. In fact, more guys like Adam Cole have come to the forefront as being the more dominant figure in pro wrestling. Guys like Braun Strowman, they're a one-trick pony. They're just there. They're big, they're scary, they got big bushy beards, and they, yeah, I run fast. I'm gonna get on my tractor and, you know, those guys are a rarity nowadays. It's not like WWE's done anything with fucking Braun Strowman anyway. Buried him for fucking 3 years. Made him a fucking joke for 3 years, and now they want me to sit there and take him seriously? Give me a break. Give me a fucking break, man. Guys like Adam Cole are the fucking leaders of this generation. You don't employ someone like Adam Cole and keep him under a fucking small ceiling. You're going to drive this guy away, and when you do, then you're going to be thinking, well, here we go. Now we got to lock everybody up on under 5-year contracts and this and that. This is what you're going to do. This is the one trait that drives everybody away. What do you think he's listening to? Well, what do you think he's thinking when he's listening to this shit? He's like, fuck, my main roster debut when it happens is fucking doomed. I got one of my bosses down in NXT telling me that if I was bigger, I'd be Universal Champion right now. So what does that mean? When he goes to the main roster, is he ever going to be Universal Champion? Give me a break. Finally, he says this. Don't you even dare to argue that WWE doesn't have the best wrestling in the world. He says this, and I quote, we have great wrestling matches. Don't argue with that. Don't disagree with that. We have the greatest wrestling matches in the world, bar none. Yeah, maybe in NXT. On the main roster, where? Where? Edge and Randy Orton? Yeah, right. Who are you comparing yourself to? I don't understand it. Road Dogg, listen. Road Dogg is the type of guy that is going to... He's going to kind of give you a glimpse into what WWE's thinking, but most of the time he's going to be a shill. He kind of blurred the lines in this promo. He gave you some truth, but you had to do a little digging to dissect what he actually means. He doesn't want to outwardly say exactly what's going on. Is he being honest? In some things, yes. But the fact of the matter is, the guy is... I want to say he's genuine. He loves what he does. He means well. But when you go out there and say things like that, man, I don't feel sorry when people shit on you. I really don't. I don't feel sorry for when people shit on you with that Adam Cole comment. I don't know how anybody, especially Adam Cole, could listen to that and say, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Maybe I'm better off in an AEW. That's the Road Dogg on Corey Graves' podcast, man. A joke. An absolute joke. Speaking of Road Dogg, he was the co-head writer of SmackDown. Now, there was an incident with one of the current writers of SmackDown, Chris DeJoseph, who was the driving force behind Lucha Underground when they were still in business. He ended up back with the WWE when they closed up shop. And apparently he was fired because of an incident with Vince McMahon. I discussed this on last week's podcast, and we didn't know what had happened. Now, the only new information is that it led to his firing, and it was an incident with Vince McMahon. Now, there were reports on Saturday that the CV-19 budget cuts had nothing to do with Chris DeJoseph being fired, and the decision was made due to highly unprofessional behavior, says Dave Meltzer. And that was reported on Wrestling Observer Live on Sunday. Meltzer said it was a disciplinary thing. I don't know all the details, but I know it was a disciplinary thing. He had just gotten a promotion very recently. Meltzer then added something happened with Vince, and I don't know exactly what it was, but he was let go. He was fired on Friday. Everyone got the word Friday afternoon, last Friday. DeJoseph had a lead writer title and worked alongside other lead writer, Ed Koskey. I think if you got rid of DeJoseph, you need to get rid of Ed Koskey as well, because SmackDown is fucking absolutely terrible. And they both work under Bruce Pritchard. Get rid of all of them. Love. Can you imagine? This is the SmackDown writing team in 2020, folks. Ed Koskey, don't know how old he is. I'm sure he's an older gentleman. Bruce Pritchard, who is got to be in his 50s, right? Pushing 60 maybe. And this is the SmackDown writing team. Writing for pro wrestlers more than half their age. It's fucking ridiculous. DeJoseph had just returned to the company in December after a string of tweets where he criticized AEW. DeJoseph is in a tough spot if he wants to continue being a writer in the pro wrestling business, because AEW would be the other place to go to make big money, but AEW does not have writers, as per Cody said, and he may have burned that bridge with some of his tweets. Now, I don't know exactly what he said, but that's on him. You want to be a typical WWE fucking robot, there you go. But AEW is not competition, but here he is on Twitter, burning bridges with AEW. DeJoseph sent out the following tweet on Thursday, so it looks like there were no issues at the time, or at least he did not think there were any issues. SmackDown was taped on Tuesday, which may indicate that the issue with McMahon happened after the show was taped. McMahon has conference calls with writers late in the week to figure out the direction for the following week of shows. This is what he said on Twitter, and I quote, "I never predicted Adam Pearce would run SmackDown on Fox. Someone slapped me, 2001 me. Or someone slapped 2001 me. Best for the job," he says. So Adam Pearce apparently has taken over for Chris DeJoseph in this writing position. I wouldn't mind that. Adam Pearce has gotten rave reviews from people backstage in WWE. From what I read in the Observer or in the Dirt Sheets, he was actually one of the guys that was responsible for the resurgence of 205 Live and the Cruiserweight division and how it was portrayed on WWE TV. When Vince McMahon wanted nothing to do with 205 Live, 205 Live went into the hands of Adam Pearce, and he took control of the show and gave you his vision of 205 Live. He produced the matches. He was in Gorilla doing what he's got to do. Everybody thought Triple H was involved with it. And Triple H was running 205 Live on top of NXT. It was actually Adam Pearce. If Adam Pearce, which we've seen Adam Pearce on the show quite a bit lately, and WWE really hasn't given us any indication as to why we're seeing him on the show backstage. He's one of the more predominant backstage figures that we see almost every time something happens backstage on the show. They really haven't given us any indication about who he is or what he does or his position or title on the show. But we see him. We see him more times than we'd like to know backstage. But this is what has come out of this Chris DeJoseph situation. Again, I don't know. I don't know what it could have been. Now, Meltzer says highly unprofessional behavior. We don't know what that means. We don't know what that means. Was he unprofessional in a lewd way to maybe some of the women? Was he hitting on the women? We don't know. Was one of his ideas that he thought was right for the show turned down by the other writers, turned down by Vince McMahon? Maybe he gave Vince McMahon some lip about an idea creatively that he thought would work and really wanted to see on the show, and Vince McMahon's vision didn't fit Chris DeJoseph's vision, and there was an argument back and forth, highly unprofessional behavior, obviously answering Vince McMahon back, being very adamant about what you want compared to Vince McMahon's vision. We don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. But if anybody wants to take a writing position with WWE, God bless you. That ain't for me. I'll sit here and talk about what's right and what's wrong in the comfort of my own home, so Vince McMahon doesn't have to fucking yell at me and tell me I don't know shit, or Road Dogg yell at me and tell me I'm a talentless hack on YouTube who wants to be a part of the business. I don't need that in my life, because I know what I'm talking about. I have many years watching the show, many years on what is right and what is wrong, and I bring very solid points to the table every time we talk about what happens on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. If I hear anything about this and Chris DeJoseph's firing, I will let you know. But like I said, I don't think we're going to find out anything as far as what happened to him and why he was let go by WWE. Rob Gronkowski. Like I said, folks, I threw a ticker tape parade in my area. I had confetti. I had fireworks. I had barbecue. I had cold beverages flowing. I was fucking on top of the world. When I read the report that Rob Gronkowski was released, I'm like, yes, gone from WWE. It was a good day. It was a good day to be a WWE fan. Now, on Monday Night Raw, which we will dive into more on Saturday's show, R-Truth won back the 24/7 championship from Rob Gronk in the comfort of his own home, I believe. In Rob Gronkowski's home. right in his flower garden. Now, it was announced that Gronkowski has been released from the WWE following Raw on Tuesday. Now, Gronk signed with the WWE back in March of 2020, and it was a terrible signing. I don't know who or why WWE thought this was a good idea, and was the host of an empty arena WrestleMania 36 inside the Performance Center. Because that's all we needed to make the show that much better, right? Rob Gronk in an empty arena for WrestleMania 36. Now, he was expected to work a match at SummerSlam, but after signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the match is no longer planned, says Wrestling Inc. Praise be the Lord. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. According to Wrestling Inc. and a source within Wrestling Inc., Gronkowski had a release clause in his contract, which he has now exercised. It is likely that he will make appearances for WWE in the future, but not as an in-ring performer anytime soon. While it is highly unlikely that he would do so, he will be unable to work for any other wrestling company until his non-compete clause expires. Yes, because I'm worried about Rob Gronkowski going to AEW, or I'm worried about Rob Gronkowski showing up for fucking Slammiversary Impact Wrestling, right? Give me a break. Gronk has spoken before about wanting one crazy match in WWE during a press conference last year. So crazy that this guy wants a crazy match, he wouldn't even jump off the fucking eagle perch inside the Performance Center on top of 12 to 15 NXT talent that were ready to break his fall. So much so that I'm going to go over what happened here with this situation. So much so that Vince McMahon had to go up to the eagle perch and show Rob Gronk that it wasn't anything too crazy. Jump off of it. I can do it. You could do it. Wait till you hear this one. Now, he said, with wrestling, I don't feel like I would be a full-time wrestler. Good. I don't think anybody wanted you, period. There is one thing I'm down for, and that's to do one crazy match. Practice it for a little bit. Go out there, like in a Royal Rumble. Go out there. I got my friend in WWE, Mojo Rawley. Practice it and do a full-on WWE match. I'm not saying when. Maybe 5 years. I've got the rest of my life to do that. And I hope for the rest of my life I don't see you in a WWE ring. I've always dreamed about doing that. Just one time going in there and going full out. That may be a possibility one time down the road. End quote. Now, that's not a road I want to be on, and I'm sure you guys agree with me. You guys can hop in the back of my car. I can only seat 2, but we'll go down that road that is Rob Gronkowski-less, because that's the road we all want to be on. Now, Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp report that they've spoken to people in WWE that had negative things to say about working with Rob Gronk after his WrestleMania fiasco. Gronk did a dive in the Performance Center, but it wasn't without protest. Vince McMahon had to go up to the eagle perch in the Performance Center and perform a dive from the eagle perch because Gronk didn't want to dive. This was a dive that leaked out, or this was the dive that leaked out, which a lot of fans thought was going down at Money in the Bank. It was made pretty clear that Gronk didn't have too many fans backstage after this quote-unquote fiasco. There was heat on Rob Gronkowski after his hesitation to do his scheduled spot at WrestleMania, and it put WrestleMania's filming 2 hours behind schedule. One top name on the roster called Rob Gronk, a fucking clown who we are so much better off without. Now, I don't know who this top name is, but holy shit, let me know who they are, and I will send them a fucking Christmas card in the mail 6 months early, bro. I want to shake this man's hand. Let me repeat that because I think it's fucking great. He called Gronk a fucking clown who we are so much better off without. Awesome. Whoever this man is deserves a raise. Now, Gronk was on the Raw side, and most people didn't have to deal with him there. He was considered a SmackDown guy. was also reported that a few people in WWE had to deal with Gronk in the past few weeks after his WrestleMania situation. During Observer Radio, Meltzer explained that WWE only signed Rob Gronkowski to work 3 events. He took care of WrestleMania, but Gronk was unable to work SummerSlam, and his other show would have been the November show in Saudi Arabia. So Meltzer says this, so the deal is that once he signed with the Bucks, it was part of the deal that he cannot do pro wrestling because he was signed to a deal. He was going to do what he did at WrestleMania, and he was going to do SummerSlam, which was going to be the big one. So he was going to be also involved with that Saudi Arabia show in November. That was the multi-event contract, those 3 events. He's not doing any of them now. He asked for his release. It was a mutual release. I don't know if they had it in his contract that if he decides to play football again, then he gets his release. I would strongly assume that he had that in his contract, and then he decided to play football, and that was his release. End quote. I don't give a fuck what was in his contract as long as he's off WWE television. It was also noted that no NFL team is going to let someone like Rob Gronkowski play for them and wrestle on the side. This was the end of Rob Gronkowski's current WWE contract, but obviously, he's eventually going to show face again and come back for a special appearance. Now, WWE's next show in Saudi Arabia might have been postponed anyway due to the CV-19 pandemic. Vince McMahon stated that during WWE's investor call several weeks ago that if they must miss a date, then it will be tacked onto the end of their 10-year deal with the Saudi government. So that's that. A lot of people were arguing with me when I initially tweeted out about Rob Gronkowski and his inclusion in WrestleMania and his inclusion with the WWE product. He showed up on SmackDown, right? But I believe, like the report said, he was a Raw superstar. Whatever the case may be, I was so vocal about it that some people said, oh, you don't get the business. What don't I actually get when you got a top name on the roster calling Rob Gronkowski a fucking clown that they themselves said we are so much better off without? What makes me different than this top star on the roster who called him a fucking clown? That's exactly what he is. A fucking clown. You brought him in to do 24/7 title garbage. What did you think was going to happen? I mean, I don't understand it. The worst thing that WWE did was take the title off of him because I know with him in possession of that 24/7 title that it wouldn't be on our fucking televisions anymore. Rob Gronkowski added nothing to WWE programming. In fact, he made it worse. As soon as he came out on SmackDown and started dancing and Mojo Rawley was in the ring and they shoved Baron Corbin like a fucking bunch of degenerates in a joking manner, I knew that this was going to be a complete fucking disaster. In fact, Mojo Rawley is the one who's shit out of luck because now he's not on TV. With Rob Gronkowski, his best friend, not there, now he's back off of TV. The only reason why he had TV time was because Rob Gronkowski was there. He was used as the hype man for his best friend. This company doesn't learn. The company doesn't learn. Rob Gronkowski was advertised for SmackDown going into WrestleMania. Rob Gronkowski was advertised for Monday Night Raw or whatever the fucking case was. And did anybody go out of their way to want to see Rob Gronkowski on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live or at WrestleMania? Did anybody go out of their way to watch Cain Velasquez in this Brock Lesnar shenanigans with Rey Mysterio for that Saudi match that they had that ended in 2 minutes? Did anybody go out of their way to go watch Tyson Fury wrestle Braun Strowman and get involved with Braun Strowman? You're dipping your toes into a pool that your toes don't belong in. So I don't understand why the mentality is we're going to go out and get these big names like a Tyson Fury, like a Rob Gronkowski, like a Cain Velasquez, and it's going to be something that generates ratings. You do realize that boxing and the NFL and UFC, they don't watch pro wrestling. Those audiences don't look at pro wrestling as an attractive thing to watch. Now, you might have some people who watch UFC and watch WWE, but for the most part, people that come over from UFC and come over from NFL on Fox, they're not watching the WWE. The WWE is forced and integrated into those programs on a Sunday afternoon. They're integrated into those shows because they're in the Fox family. That doesn't mean people are going to go and watch what WWE does because they're affiliated with Fox and they're being advertised with the NFL. That doesn't mean you got to go out there and get somebody who clearly has no business being in the fucking sport of professional wrestling on the show to take a spot away from somebody else. What ratings did you generate with Rob Gronkowski? What ratings did you generate with a Cain Velasquez, having him show up in Saudi Arabia against Brock Lesnar? What did you do with Tyson Fury? Absolutely nothing. In some cases, the ratings were worse than what they were when they weren't affiliated with the WWE product. All WWE does with moves like this is alienate their fan base. All they do is tell the roster, the current roster, you're not good enough. You're never going to be at the level of this guy, so we're going to go out there and get somebody with absolutely zero experience to take your spot away and your paycheck and your WrestleMania fucking spot away. And we're going to give it to the guy who is a mainstream attraction, who's the whatever for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? The tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are you fucking kidding me? WWE is absolutely clueless. If you came to me and said, hey man, I think we want to get Rob Gronkowski into the company to sell some tickets and generate ratings, I'd give you the same fucking answer I'm giving you now. You're deviating away from the core product. Nobody's watching the fucking product for Rob Gronkowski. Why don't you get your shit straight with the current roster and the shows you got now, and then maybe bring in Rob Gronkowski? No, but you want to make things worse before you make them better. Fucking ridiculous, man. WWE is so blinded by what to do. They really are. It's not even fun. Watching this is not fun. It's not fucking exciting. Rob Gronkowski being away from WWE and him going back to football is the best thing that could possibly ever happen in this situation. I'm glad he's gone, and I don't want him to come back ever again. WWE used a PA system to instruct NXT Talent to be more lively at recent WWE tapings. Folks, this story legitimately angered me because of how not only the talent was being treated, not only with this PA incident, but what WWE is doing to what many would say is the future of their company. Now, there is another round of TV tapings coming up next week, and some of the NXT wrestlers are already dreading the experience standing behind plexiglass, which we all know is a fucking sham. It actually looks ridiculous. The sound, and I would not be surprised. I don't have any scientific data here with this shit, but I can imagine you standing behind the fucking plexiglass and you screaming and trying to generate some life into that arena is bouncing off the plexiglass right back at you, and you're not really hearing and seeing and fully, feeling the effect of what they're trying to generate there at these tapings because you got this big fucking plexiglass, as if I'm watching a goddamn hockey game, block the people in the seats, quote unquote, the non-existent seats in the audience. NXT wrestlers have been used for the last couple of weeks behind plexiglass for the last couple of weeks of shows, taped last Monday, 5:25, and Tuesday, 5:26, to make the show sound a little bit more exciting, as WWE has seen a ratings decline with the empty arena shows. Now, the wrestlers were said to be very tired towards the end of these tapings. Keep in mind that the addition of taping 3-hour Raws on Monday, they also taped an episode of SmackDown on the same day. 5 fucking hours of Raw and SmackDown in the same day, folks. Can you imagine the torture? I would not be surprised if people in attendance for these shows were having fucking nightmares and sleepless nights and cold chills when they laid their head down to rest in the evening. Now, they were very tired. They had Raw and SmackDown in the same day, and then they taped another episode of Raw and SmackDown the following day. Can you imagine going home after a 6-hour taping of these shows to realize that, fuck, I gotta come back and do this all over again tomorrow? I don't want to do this shit. They also have to sit through 205 Live and main event tapings and the Intercontinental Championship finals between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, which was probably the most redeeming thing of all of this experience. And from what I've read and what I've personally been told by my source, it is fucking incredible, and the crowd was into it. And they've been given a lot of time to sell this final as a legit match of the year contender. That's what I've been told. I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, Raj Giri at Wrestling Inc. is reporting that the wrestlers / crowd / fans were somewhat sluggish by Tuesday, 5/26, when it was time to tape 205 Live and main event at 2 p.m. Eastern. Around this time is when somebody from WWE got on the house PA system and told everyone to be more enthusiastic. One person there described it as a parent talking down to a child. The match between Bryan and Styles should be more lively since it was taped on Monday, May 25th, and the match was said, like I said, to be fantastic. Raj also notes that the wrestlers used as fans were kept separate from wrestlers being featured on the shows on the main roster. WWE reportedly went as far as to keep the wrestlers away from the main roster stars at catering. They were told to bring their own packed lunches, and they had their own tents outside where they could eat, away from the main roster stars. What is this, boot camp? What is this, a fucking prison? Are these people being paid extra to stand there and utilize their time? Because at this point, you are acting as an employee of the WWE. If you're taking orders from people in management to do this and stand there and cheer for this one and boo for this one and be a little bit more enthusiastic and lively, you're taking orders from your employer. Are you being paid more for the fucking punishment that I'm hearing here? Are you being paid more to stand there and waste your days supporting the WWE main roster product? Now, if I'm an NXT talent and I have to do this on a Monday for 6 hours, and then I got to come back and do the same thing on a Tuesday, and then I got to come back and do the same thing for an NXT TakeOver on Sunday, and then I got to do the same thing during a Backlash the following Sunday, which is just going to start the recording cycle all over again. So it's going to add hours to the day, and it's going to add an extra day of work. The very least the WWE could do is maybe have them mingle around the main roster talent backstage when tapings aren't going on, and have lunch and whatever else. A rest with the main roster talent. Get affiliated with them. I don't understand this terrible behavior by WWE brought down upon what I think is the future of the fucking company. How could you sit there and treat these people like that, in this manner, and treat them like outcasts, and treat them like little children, and treat them as if they're not even a part of the WWE product, that they're not a part of the WWE family? Can you imagine being a pro wrestler working out of the Performance Center and working in developmental and working in NXT? This is what you are going to be subjected to. This is what you're going to give your life to. People who don't give a shit about you at all. If they don't give a shit about you now, what makes you think they're going to give a shit about you when you get to that main roster? Absolutely disgusting behavior. Disgusting. Might have been great for the NXT talent to sit and mingle with the main roster talent. Maybe get some pointers. Feel a part of what's going on. No, WWE doesn't even give them seats. They bury them behind plexiglass. They don't allow them to go into the catering on the main roster. They're being given tents to eat all by themselves with their own crew. Now, I get that in pro wrestling, you got your hard knocks, you got your hard times, you got to fucking work your way through the business, you got to suffer and struggle and work your way up and be a team player. I get it. That's with any business. But man, oh man, this is just downright fucking slave-like fucking just belittlement by WWE main roster. It's almost as if they're not even employees. Ball and chain for these people. You do what I say, when I say it, how to speak and how to boo and who to cheer and this and that, where to eat, how to eat. Bring your lunch from home because we're not supplying you with anything. A multi-billion-dollar company telling your developmental talent, yeah, you're not allowed in catering, go and get your own food to bring it to the performance center, and then you're not even going to eat with the fucking people on the main roster. You're going to eat in a fucking tent in the fucking parking lot. Are you serious? This is what you have to look forward to, guys. This is what you got to look forward to. I'm sorry to say. Some of you might make it. Some of you might not. You know? You're probably wondering why you even got into the WWE to begin with. Do I even want to be here? Do I even want to be here? Can you imagine the mindset of these people? You know, a lot of these people might be coming up on contract years. A lot of these people who aren't being used right now on NXT TV, they might be coming up on a contract year. Who's to say that these people from this experience don't even want to be there anymore, knowing how they were treated here? Can you imagine? This is absolutely one of those situations that would deter you from ever wanting to go and work for this company ever again. And there may be other opportunities out there that might be a little bit more fruitful for you, a little bit more of a respect from another company. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely absurd that they have to go through this. Unbelievable. Here's the quick fix. You should not be fucking tiring your roster out that way. You should not be treating your NXT talent, who's got their own shit to worry about. How could you expect them to do what they need to do on Wednesday when they got to film for themselves for NXT on Wednesday? How could you expect them to be excited about what to do for themselves when they have to go to work for themselves? How could you expect them to be excited when you've given them such a terrible experience here? They might not want to come back to work for the rest of the fucking week. But you're asking them to be on at all times. You can't do that. You gotta give and then you gotta take. You can't take and then not give. Give these fucking people seats. How you gonna ask somebody to stand for 10 hours, 3 days in a row? I don't understand that. Isn't that inhumane? No wonder. I would absolutely, fuck you, I'm sitting down. Give me a fucking chair. Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy on Monday Night Raw. You got all these fucking poor souls standing behind the goddamn plexiglass. They pull up 2 chairs right outside the ring while Rollins is cutting a promo during Rey Mysterio's retirement celebration. I'm like, where the fuck are these chairs for the 50 people in attendance here? Where did they come from? Did they come from the fucking chair fairy? Did they build them right there? Multi-billion-dollar company can't give these fucking people who are actually making the show a little bit more watchable chairs to sit down. Unreal. And the fact that you're not letting them taste that delicious catering by Titus? My God, man. That's the biggest crime of them all. Awful, awful, awful. I hate hearing shit like that, man. Here's the thing I was about to say. Here's the fix. You got to go back to live. You got to go back to live. Listen, we're in a time right now where the CV-19 is dying down. Things need to get back to normal. I don't give a shit what the fuck is out there. You need to start getting things back to normal. The NBA just started to roll out a 22-team playoff that is going to finish up in October, right? I don't know when this is going to happen. They're going to be operating out of Orlando at Walt Disney. So they're going to set up a schedule. And I don't know if there's going to be fans in attendance, but listen, if we're getting basketball and baseball and NASCAR and golf and tennis and fucking this and that, you got to go back to being live. I don't give a shit if you continue using the NXT talent. Go back to being live. 3 hours is better than standing around for 10 hours, back-to-back days. And why don't you have a rotation of fucking talent? In and out. You show up on Monday, you don't got to show up on Tuesday. You show up on Tuesday, you don't got to show up on Friday. And rotate. Come up with a list of people that got to be there so you don't see the same goddamn fucking faces, the same unenthusiastic, uncharismatic fucking I want to be home in my fucking bed away from this bullshit faces. Come on, man. You got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. This is the future of your company and you're treating them like this now? NXT Talent. They're in for another long week, like I said. Sean Ross Sapp is reporting on Fightful Select that NXT wrestlers have been called upon to be in attendance for NXT In Your House and Backlash, in addition to the next set of TV tapings. It was noted that in the report, there is no additional pay for these appearances by talent working as fans. No additional pay. No additional pay, says Sean Ross Sapp. Standing for long periods of time during these tapings, it was added that classes have continued for recruits, but usually digital tape studies with coaches. End quote. Both Fightful and Wrestling Inc. were able to confirm that WWE is slated to air TakeOver In Your House live on Sunday, June 7th, Backlash live from the Performance Center on June 14th, and then the next set of TV tapings from June 8th, 9th, and 10th from the Performance Center. This means that WWE will be taping the post-Backlash episodes of Raw and SmackDown before they actually take the pay-per-view and go live. So all of these post-Backlash shows are going to be taped before we even actually get to the actual pay-per-view. WWE did the same thing when they taped WrestleMania 36 back in April, and WWE will be back taping television on June 22nd after these TV tapings. So that's that. From June 8th to June 10th is going to take them all the way up until June 22nd, and they'll be right back at it. Quick fix, guys. Go live. Go live. Set up a rotation of talent to show up on Monday. If you show up on Monday, you don't got to show up on Tuesday. If you show up on Tuesday, you don't got to show up on Wednesday. And rotate every single time, right? Or let me put it to you in a better sense. If you show up for Raw, you don't got to show up for SmackDown. If you show up for SmackDown, you don't got to show up for NXT. Rotate the fucking talent so everybody gets a piece of the pie. Nobody wants to sit there and watch all these hours and hours and hours of programming standing behind plexiglass being treated like fucking children. These are adults, grown men and women who love what they do. You're actively taking all of this love and fucking care and passion away from these people by treating them this way. Like goddamn fucking animals. Go back to being live and that would fix everything with a set of rotating talent from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. Problem solved. As always, I want to thank you guys for supporting Off the Script, and I want to thank my sponsor for today's show, The Ridge. It's light, it's sleek, and industrial. It doesn't fold. It awkwardly doesn't bulge in your pocket unless your sister wants me to bulge in my pocket, but that's a different story. And seriously, it changed my whole pocket situation. Now, I was never a wallet guy. I've told this story time and time and time again. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s, carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel keys, in a very unorganized mess. Now, my Ridge wallet is sleek, it's stylish, it's forged carbon, and I absolutely love how it feels. It even has a money clip on the back of it so I can securely hold my cash. It holds up to 12 cards, plus room for cash like I just showed you. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. I really love it. Don't take my word for it, though. Listen to their 30,000 five-star reviews. It's durable. Durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy this one wallet and carry it around for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is also so confident that you will like it that they will give you a test drive for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. I love, also guys, the RFID blocking qualities in the Ridge wallet, so I know my ID and my card information, my debit card and credit card information are all safe and secure. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. Listen, man, Father's Day's coming up. There's no better gift than the Ridge wallet, and I want to thank them for supporting, as always, right here on Off the Script. Oh boy, man. The ratings are in for another dismal week of WWE TV. Raw continues to sink lower and lower and lower every single week, topping their previous record lows, which is always a great thing to see. SmackDown remains more of the same. Nothing new here. Nothing's changed as far as the ratings go. It was a very ordinary show. SmackDown ratings for May 29th are in. And Friday's episode of SmackDown featuring the WWE Intercontinental Championship Tournament semifinals, with Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus in the main event, drew an average of 2.170 million viewers on Fox, according to Showbuzz Daily. The final number is up from the overnight viewership that was released on Saturday morning. That averaged a 2.150 million viewership, so there really is no difference there between the overnight and what the actual rating was that came out on Monday. This number is also up from last week's final SmackDown viewership of 2.044 million viewers for the post-Money in the Bank show. SmackDown also featured a show opening angle with Jeff Hardy and Elias that had people talking on social media, as it had Hardy appearing to be intoxicated. Plus, there was buzz surrounding the show due to the rumored official Blue Brand debut of Matt Riddle, who ended up appearing in a vignette that was introduced by Kurt Angle. Now, Friday SmackDown drew a 0.6 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic, a 0.7 rating in the 25 to 54 demographic, and a 0.4 rating in the 18 to 34 demographic. Last week's episode drew a 0.5 rating in the 18 to 49, so they were up this week with this week's show, or last week's show, I should say, on Friday. And then we had a 0.7 rating in the 25 to 54 demographic. That was up. And a 0.3 rating in the 18 to 34 demographic. That was down from the previous week. SmackDown tied for number one in the ratings for the key 18 to 49 demographic on network TV, with Shark Tank ranking number one last week. SmackDown ranked number one in the 18 to 34 demo this week for the second week in a row, and tied for number two in the 25 to 54 demographic. SmackDown came in at number 9 for the night in viewership on network TV, behind Shark Tank, Haircut Night. This is what our TV schedule is looking like during the pandemic, folks. Haircut Night. Just give me a fucking haircut and open up my barbershop, will you? World of Dance, Magnum P.I., Dateline Classic, and 2020. Plus, you also have The Wall. I don't know what The Wall is, but whatever, man. If you're watching any of this garbage, God bless you. 2020 topped the night on network TV and viewership this week with 3.686 million viewers. Now, the fact of the matter is, folks, they're leading in their key demographics, and, you know, they are remaining steady in those key demographics, and that's all Fox cares about. I can imagine that they are pretty disappointed with the overall number in ratings and millions of viewers down from what they were when they debuted on Fox, but the fact that they're number one or number two or tied for number one or tied for number two in the key demographics and the ratings, that's all Fox cares about. So at the end of the day, you know, we can sit here and say SmackDown sucks all we want, which we know it does. It's the worst wrestling show in the industry, bar none. Raw is kind of creeping back into that spot as of late. But at the end of the day, Fox only cares about those demographics, and WWE is leading those demographics. Now, just to get this out of the way, the SmackDown graphics starting this week will get an update just like Raw. I reported this on Off the Script that Raw got an update with the Raw graphic. Now, the official SmackDown graphic on WWE's website used to include Bayley, Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, Sasha Banks, and The Fiend. Kofi Kingston as well. Now, Kofi and Daniel Bryan have been asked to make way for new names. The new official SmackDown graphic features Otis, Lacey Evans, The Fiend, Braun Strowman, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Roman Reigns. Now, it's interesting when you look at the graphic that Roman Reigns is now in the back of the image, and Evans, Otis, and Strowman are all new additions. Raw got their new updated graphic with Drew McIntyre and Asuka, with Angel Garza added to their Raw graphic on Monday. And Becky Lynch was removed for obvious reasons. Now, SmackDown was a very newsworthy show. Everybody was shocked at Jeff Hardy being quote-unquote arrested coming out of SmackDown following a hit-and-run attack on Elias. It turned the entire tournament upside down, as Sheamus won a 10-man battle royal to re-enter the Intercontinental Championship tournament, but he was defeated by Daniel Bryan in the semifinals, which was the main event of SmackDown. Also, Matt Riddle made his SmackDown debut via a vignette. He's not in ring yet. And Lacey Evans and Sonya Deville battled in a showdown on SmackDown. So, For SmackDown, it was pretty decent. Sheamus winning the Battle Royal, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a creative way to get themselves out of what they, and I hope that this is the case, that they realized was a creative mess. Jeff Hardy didn't belong in the tournament. Sheamus didn't belong in the tournament. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't belong in the tournament altogether, but if you were going to put them in the tournament, that is a feud that you build the entire tournament around. You just don't give us a feud built up the way it's been built up to put this first match between these two in the fucking first round of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. It doesn't work that way. That is what I call shitty creative, okay? Now, what WWE realized here is that we fucked up. We had Jeff Hardy beat Sheamus. Sheamus is eliminated. Sheamus himself needed a win. Now, Jeff Hardy is advancing to the semifinals. Now, we're tasked with booking Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan can't lose when we already had him come out and say that he's going to win the Intercontinental Championship, and now he's going to take the Intercontinental Championship back to relevancy and back to its glory days. It needs a fighting champion. We all know as a fan base that Daniel Bryan and fighting champion and IC championship kind of go hand in hand here. So we can't have Jeff Hardy lose. So what do? We go and we make sure that Jeff Hardy is removed from the tournament because he's a raging alcoholic. That's exactly what they did. So they opened the show with this angle. Jeff Hardy was in the bushes somewhere behind the Performance Center. There was a car that was hopped up on a curb. Elias was laid out on the concrete. The officers investigating the crime scene were noticing that there were papers thrown about that had Jeff Hardy's name on it. There was a bottle of alcohol in the car. And then they found Jeff Hardy in the bushes behind the Performance Center. Elias was transported to a local medical facility. And then Sheamus kind of instigated during the announcement of a 10-man battle royal. Oh, look at Jeff Hardy being an embarrassment once again. And he was really ragging on Jeff Hardy. So I knew that this was all a setup for Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. Sheamus is getting back at Jeff Hardy because of all the love and, admiration that Jeff Hardy is getting, and he's jealous. He lost, and he's jealous. He wants to take it out on Jeff. Jeff was being arrested. He's saying, I'm not drunk. And he was concerned about Elias. He didn't know what was going on. Apparently on Friday, tonight, he's going to reveal his side of the story as to what happened. I didn't really mind it. Yes, it is low. Yes, it's typical WWE, as we've seen with Drake Maverick, which I'll probably pull whatever I said about Drake Maverick and include it in this podcast because I want you guys to listen to it because I know most of you probably didn't even watch my NXT review. I guarantee you most of you don't even watch NXT, period, because you just hate NXT and you hate WWE and you're taking it out on NXT for whatever reason. It's the same thing. WWE goes and does these low things. Jeff Hardy's alcoholism, Jeff Hardy being treated like a fucking intoxicated clown on SmackDown, WWE using Drake Maverick's termination in real life to sell their fucking Cruiserweight Championship tournament. It's all in the same thing. It's low by WWE. I didn't mind what happened on Friday because the way I see it, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, which I know I shouldn't do because this is WWE after all of this anyway, they realized that they fucked up with this tournament. And they tried to book themselves out of a creative blunder. Now, could they have gone a different way and not include Jeff Hardy's alcoholism? Absolutely. But I give them the balls for trying and going outside the bubble. Now, Jeff Hardy's alcoholism, the only problem that I did have with it was the fact that it was too close to him coming out of rehabilitation, coming back after all that he has gone through, to come back and then they kind of just spring it on him in a storyline already. Where is the redemption there? The redemption is him coming back from all of his demons, and you're just kind of aggravating those demons back on WWE television and having him relive all of that all over again. That's not really what I call redemption. You gave me vignettes, and powerful vignettes at that, about Jeff Hardy coming back from his demons and coming back from his addictions to ultimately putting him in a storyline where he is put in that situation again. Where's the redemption? Why are you doing it so close to him coming out of rehabilitation? And obviously when things are still a sensitive topic for him. Did he give WWE clearance? I don't know. I said so on Friday. And I'm going to stick to that. I think Jeff Hardy did give WWE clearance. At the end of the day, does Jeff Hardy even have a say in what happens to his character on TV? I would like to think so, being that it is a sensitive topic. But this is TV. We're in entertainment. We're in Hollywood, folks. Anything goes. I do think that bringing a sense of real life into pro wrestling always works out great. It tells a better story than whatever the writers could come up with because it's real life. But the fact that it happened so close to when it happened in real life for Jeff Hardy, that's what I have a problem with. What is Jeff Hardy's redemption after all of this? What is his redemption after all of this? This is another thing that I talked about. Was his redemption to win the Intercontinental Championship tournament? To win the IC title? Doesn't sound like a redemption storyline to me. If you're in the last year of a contract and you're coming back and you want to make the biggest impression for everybody with what you do on this show, then you're not going after the Intercontinental Championship. You're going after the Universal Championship or whatever the major championship is on that brand. In this case, it's Braun Strowman and the Universal Championship. And when Jeff Hardy challenges for the Universal Championship, I'm sure it will be Bray Wyatt, where we'll go through all of this all over again, and his fears when he enters the funhouse is going to be that alcohol problem and his drug abuse. So I'm sure WWE is going to bring all of these demons back to the forefront when he goes one-on-one with Bray Wyatt, because you know it's going to happen. What is his redemption going to be? Is Jeff Hardy going to get a true redemption storyline where he's on top of the mountain and he's the WWE champion once again? Or is this WWE's redemption to get back at the Hardy Boys for Matt going to AEW? Is Jeff's redemption going to be an embarrassment on the way out the door? Do you see WWE booking Jeff Hardy in a meaningful, fulfilling way on SmackDown, knowing he's in the last year of a contract where more than likely he's going to join his brother Matt in AEW, reform the Hardy Boys, and have one last true run as a tag team like it should be, with people that respect what they've done for this business? Give me a break. This is where I'm currently playing tug of war with how I feel about this storyline. Do I agree with what they did? No. Do I respect WWE going outside the bubble? Yes. Is it uncreative and lazy? Yes. Did WWE get themselves out of a mess? Yes. Is this Jeff Hardy's true redemption? Are they going to treat him like the superstar that has given his life to these people? No. No. At the end of the day, WWE is only using Jeff Hardy just like they used Matt and just like they used everybody else, just like how they used Drake Maverick. They're going to use them and embarrass them and use their real-life demons against them and their real-life issues against them to sell their storylines and sell their agenda and get by on weekly TV and not give a single shit about how the actual human being feels. So yes, there are pros and there are cons to this. But I'm talking about strategically, specifically, the creative side of things. They got themselves out of this mess. Now we got Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, I'm sure, leading to a match, whether it be at Backlash or after Backlash. We don't know. But we got the IC title match that we all wanted. Now WWE has it in their power to book a great match, crown the rightful champion of the Intercontinental Championship, all while keeping in the back of their mind they did have an IC champion before this tournament started in Sami Zayn, who more than likely is going to be back on TV, and you got a storyline waiting right there that doesn't need any type of effort at all. He comes back, he's the rightful champion that never lost. You book a champion versus champion feud, a la Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. It won't be half as good, but the storyline is there, and it requires absolutely no effort from WWE management. The Battle Royal was fun. It was great to see Chad Gable back on TV. Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans. Even though Sonya wants to drop me, you know, I'm very high on Sonya Deville right now. She's 26 years old. She looks great. This is the best she's ever looked. She's coming along in the ring. I'm loving what she's doing with her attitude and her promos and her look and her character. Everything is working. And the fact that she got some nice shots on Lacey Evans is always a good thing. But they went to a double count out, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. We got Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. And I couldn't give a single shit about anything Alexa Bliss, but Sasha Banks, she was in sweats, so what's not to like? Chad Gable versus Cesaro. These guys deserve 20 minutes. They tear the house down. They got 3. And Chad Gable beats Cesaro. And then we got Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus for the IC title. Tournament semifinals. Winner of this goes on to fight AJ Styles. I love the fact that AJ did not want to take the high road like Daniel Bryan was. He's like to Adam Pearce, I'm taking my fucking spot in the finals. I don't give a shit what the fuck happened, who got run over, or who was drinking behind the wheel. I want my finals. So Daniel Bryan was like, let's do this the right way. So they had a battle royal, and Bryan fought the winner of the battle royal, which was Sheamus, and that ended up being a good match. And Bryan capitalized, winning with a running knee, and he won. He won. And he's in the finals with AJ Styles. So SmackDown had its ups, it had its downs, but listen, at the end of the day, yes, WWE was wrong, but I appreciate the fact that they finally got themselves out of this fucking illogical mess called the IC title tournament. Now, with the Jeff Hardy situation, CM Punk actually talked about this on WWE Backstage. And I did not watch WWE Backstage because I feel like I don't need to. I don't really care that CM Punk is back. I'll always listen to what he has to say, and that's about it. Somewhere online, whether it's on the YouTube channel or whatnot. I can't stand listening to these shills, shill the WWE product, and fuck Paige, and, you know, everybody that just came at me about what had happened, you know, and her going the extra mile when things were dying down and telling people to unfollow me on social media and unfollow the YouTube channel and don't support me and I'm this and I'm that. I can't listen to these people anymore. I really can't. You know, I have a different outlook on some people in that locker room than I did before all of this happened. But with CM Punk, his sobriety is a very fragile thing. And that's what he stated on WWE Backstage in regards to Jeff Hardy and the storyline with Jeff Hardy. Now, some fans praised the segment, while others thought it was in bad taste due to Hardy's real-life issues being arrested for DUI and public intoxication as recently as last year. Now, we don't know what Jeff had to say. He hasn't said anything on social media. He hasn't said anything in an interview regarding this. He's going to be on SmackDown, and he's going to address his side of the story on SmackDown. Maybe there'll be some truth in that. Now, during his appearance on WWE Backstage, Punk gave his take. He started out by talking about how he's worked with Hardy in the past, and even back then, Hardy was not in a great spot in his life, both mentally and physically. He stated that everyone knows about Jeff's past and his problems. He says this, and I quote, "My thing with this segment and this story is that I believe somebody's sobriety is very fragile and very important. We discussed whether this should be with Jeff or shouldn't be with Jeff. Now, we talked about how Jeff was okay with it. Maybe it's his idea. Maybe he greenlit it. Maybe he gave the thumbs up. That's where I kind of talked to you guys about where I stand with it. Maybe he did give the green light. And if Jeff gave the green light, and if Jeff is okay with it, you can argue that it's not the right situation, that WWE needs to be a little bit more responsible with doing shit like this. They should be looking out for him as if they're the parent and he's the child in this situation because it's a very sensitive thing. You're just allowing him to fall back into that trap again. I get it. And he's at a point right now where I don't think anybody should really trust him in regards to anything regarding his sobriety, because he's still very fragile and he's in a weakened state right now where he can relapse and he can fall back into his bad habits. Maybe he did greenlight it. Is he well enough to actually make that type of decision? Should WWE be gifting him the responsibility of making that decision for him? That should be the rebuttal here in regards to what CM Punk said. Maybe it was his idea. Maybe he greenlit it, gave it the thumbs up. Should that be in Jeff Hardy's decision to give the green lit thumbs up with that situation? I don't think so. But maybe he did. They even brought up that situation as well. Now, Punk continued by stating how it comes down to the responsibility of those in charge to get in front of the idea and say that they wouldn't do that to Hardy again or even put him in that position. He says, and I quote, "I think clearing your life up and being sober is something to be proud of. We can champion that rather in a different way. I think this is the wrong way to go about it. You just don't put him in front of that moving car." End quote. Now, again, I don't want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. I really don't, because this is WWE at the end of the day. But for me to ease everybody's worry about this storyline or everybody's negativity towards this storyline, I honestly think the worst of what we've seen was just that opening 20 minutes. Jeff showed up on SmackDown, he was sober, and maybe this is really leading to the overall storyline arc of him and the redemption and him really being sober and battling back from those demons. Maybe this is just another layer of the Jeff Hardy redemption storyline. Maybe he is going to come out there and say, this is important to me. Clearing up my life and being sober is something that I'm incredibly proud of. And for Sheamus to shit all over that, it's disrespectful. He's the villain. He's the bad guy here. He's the one to place blame on, not me. And maybe then that they have Jeff Hardy go out and say that, maybe it'll ease everybody's pain and everybody's negativity towards this storyline. Because we don't know yet. We won't know what WWE does with this storyline until we see SmackDown on Friday night tonight. Now, after the panel gave their thoughts about this, Punk pointed out, and Booker T agreed, that doing these types of angles never works out. Booker T would go on to talk about why it's not good for anyone, as it's something you don't play with. So I think they're all in the right here, and they're all being very skeptical about it. We got to see and we got to wait what WWE does. I think with the backlash on social media and what we've seen and heard from the panel on WWE Backstage, maybe WWE rewrites this a different way to make Jeff proud that he is achieving sobriety instead of kind of depicting him as an alcoholic and him falling back into his bad ways. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I don't like giving WWE the benefit of the doubt, but knowing how everybody is nowadays in the current climate of the world, I do think that they have to tread lightly with sensitive topics like this. So like I said, we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it on the podcast tonight for Friday Night SmackDown. Matt Riddle and his call-up, or demotion, I would say, to the main roster changed a ton of plans for NXT, and it sent shockwaves through WWE. And I'm not talking about the Transformer Shockwave. And I'm a big fan of Transformers. As you guys see here, look, see? There you go. I'm a big fan of Transformers, man. Megatron being my favorite. Now, I don't know why I said that, but Shockwave got me thinking about Transformers. WWE decided to call down, or demote Matt Riddle from NXT to the main roster by placing him on the SmackDown brand. It turns out that this demotion caused WWE to adjust its NXT plans moving forward that involved several wrestlers. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reported that some additional details have been noted about Riddle's call-up, and it sent shockwaves through multiple brands, end quote. Of course, Vince McMahon decided after having a meeting with other WWE officials to bring up Matt Riddle. However, that was a little easier said than done due to the CV outbreak currently going on around the world. Before the call-up, Riddle was one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions with Pete Dunne. WWE couldn't bring Dunne into the TV tapings due to the travel ban in the United Kingdom, which prevented him from making it over to the United States from the United Kingdom. Per the report, the company was fine to wait it out and see how things played out until Dunne got back. WWE also decided to bring in the team of Indus Sher, managed by Malcolm Bivens, to feud with the champions. That's why the tag team attacked Riddle on an episode of NXT. It was supposed to continue until Dunne came back. Once NXT officials were informed that Riddle would need to drop the NXT tag team titles, management reportedly didn't have enough confidence in Indus Sher to be in that spot as of yet to challenge for the tag team championships, or worse, be the tag team champions. Thus, they were pulled from NXT television. It was noted that the Performance Center head coach Matt Bloom personally thinks that Indus Sher has a high upside. Now, Matt Bloom is a respected talent in WWE. He is the trainer coming out of NXT, but a tag team with a high upside? Says who? And where do you think their high upside is going to get them? Just look at all the other tag teams on the main roster and tell me who from NXT still has a high upside on the main roster. Nobody. All I see is two Jinder Mahals in Indus Sher. All I see is the next AOP in Indus Sher. Dead. Due to Riddle's move to the main roster, still in place, WWE decided to go in a different direction and put the titles on Imperium. Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner, who I love. I think they're fantastic. NXT officials reportedly feel they were better prepared to carry the NXT Tag Team titles. Since Riddle needed to drop the titles, he needed a new partner. And Timothy Thatcher was brought in to serve that role that would eventually lead to a brief program involving them. Regarding the status of Dunn and how these decisions could impact him, the media outlet was told that there are no firm plans for anyone stuck overseas, including Pete Dunne. However, the possibility of Dunne working NXT UK tapings in the event the company gets those up and going could happen. Now, I think the travel restrictions are slowly being lifted, so we might see Pete Dunne back in the United States sooner rather than later, because that's where they moved him. He had nothing else to prove and nothing else to do in NXT UK, so he might be in the United States sooner rather than later, but Vince wants what Vince wants when Vince wants it, and that's why we got Matt Riddle. Now, I do have a fear of Matt Riddle failing on the main roster, but this is nothing new when it comes to NXT talent being demoted to the main roster. Do I think he has what it takes to be a future piece of the company, a face of the company? Absolutely. I even joked about Matt Riddle being put in boots. How long before they put him in boots? How long before they have him scripted to go out there and say, "Riddle me this, bro"? Or something along those lines. Maybe they change his gimmick from bro Matt Riddle to the fucking Riddler from Batman. You know how they love dressing people up in cosplay? Just look at Nia Jax. She's pretending to be a pro wrestler. It's like Halloween every week for Nia Jax. What about, what's his name? I forgot. Oh, fuck, I had something I was thinking about. I can't think of who I was thinking about. Nia Jax, the best cosplay player in the world. Oh, Dean Ambrose. Remember when they dressed him up as fucking Bane? They put the Bane coat on. They put the gold chain around his neck. They put the gas mask on. All I envisioned was Bane blowing up a fucking football stadium in Batman. Jesus Christ. That's what they're going to do to Matt Riddle. Can you imagine that? Having him come out in a green coat with fucking question marks all over it. Holy shit, man. I would not put it past WWE. Then you can kiss Matt Riddle goodbye all the way to AEW. But I am not surprised by this. I am not surprised by this whatsoever, man. Matt Riddle on SmackDown being called up to the main roster when he was already in the middle of something. He was a champion in NXT. NXT would have loved to wait it out with Pete Dunne. Vince McMahon says, fuck all that. I want it. I want him. I want him on the main roster. That's it. Now, again, you might think I'm losing my fucking mind. I don't want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt. Yes, Matt Riddle should have been an NXT champion. Yes, he should have had a run as NXT champion down there. But with the way things were going, and he had that great match with Adam Cole back in, I believe, October or November of NXT television for the NXT championship. After that, it was pretty much over for him. He was never going to challenge for that championship. I wouldn't say never, but it was not going to be for a long while before he would challenge for that championship again, especially with Adam Cole carrying the championship. Then they gave him the Broserweights gimmick, and they gave him the team of Pete Dunne, tag team champions. That was working. They won the Dusty Classic. They had nothing else to do with Matt Riddle. That was the second best thing for Matt Riddle to do if he wasn't challenging for the NXT championship. Now, everybody loved it. It worked. It just hit it off with everybody, right? So when Pete Dunne and the virus hit, and Pete Dunne was stuck in the United Kingdom, what were you really going to do with Matt Riddle? You put him with Timothy Thatcher. It really wasn't working. It was forced. It didn't have the same genuine feel as the way the Broserweights worked, the Newly Bros. Right? It didn't work the same way Pete Dunne worked with Matt Riddle. So I don't want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt, but you're wasting Matt Riddle at that point. And the most, I would say the biggest thing to take away from all of this is that Matt Riddle's in a contract year. Matt Riddle's in a contract year, reportedly. And if WWE doesn't use him to his ability, and they don't use that and channel it into making money and getting Matt Riddle in a situation where he feels wanted and important, then more than likely you're going to end up losing Matt Riddle. Because when I look at Matt Riddle, yeah, I see the fun-loving guy that I love to fucking smoke a joint with and fucking drink a beer with. Great, I love to party with Matt Riddle. I see that Matt Riddle, but I also see a Matt Riddle that's going to be very stuck in his own ways. I see a Matt Riddle that's going to take no bullshit from anybody, and he'll quickly tell you, bro, if you're not using me, if you're treating me like this, and you're going to tell me what to do and how to do it, let me do what I got to do. I promise you, I guarantee you I'm going to make you money. If you're going to start ordering Matt Riddle around, if you're going to neglect Matt Riddle, if you're going to treat him like a joke, when we all know he's not, then he's gone. So WWE wanted to keep Matt Riddle advancing. They wanted to move him through the ranks and show him that they are invested in him. Because at the slightest, if they don't do that, then you're risking day by day, week by week, this guy going elsewhere when his contract's up. And the same thing's going to happen with Adam Cole. The same thing's going to happen with Adam Cole. If you don't show Adam Cole that you are committed to making him one of the greatest ever, he's done. He's done. You don't give this guy 365 plus days as NXT champion and then waste him away on the main roster. You don't do that. You show them that you are committed to them. Otherwise, they will find work and be committed elsewhere and make just as much money than the WWE is willing to offer. So Matt Riddle changed a lot of things being called up. Yeah, I'm not shocked. This is not the first time we've seen this shit happen. Vince did this last time. Remember when Gargano and Ciampa and Black and Ricochet were all called up to the main roster? They were in the middle of TakeOver New York. Vince McMahon actively himself ruined Gargano and Ciampa to a point where WWE had to fucking desperately go to a plan B, which they are absolutely lucky worked out in their favor, with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano at TakeOver New York, which resulted in probably one of the best produced matches that this company will ever see. And they ruined Ciampa because, listen, I don't know the specifics of it, but I know for a fact that having Ciampa on the main roster for those several weeks doing what he did only aggravated his injury more so, when he probably, realistically, had one more match left in him and he wanted to give all of that to Johnny Gargano. And he couldn't do that. Vince McMahon actively pulled these guys out of NXT in the middle of the fucking biggest show that they ever put on to have these guys on Raw and SmackDown with absolutely no rhyme or reason. And they used them. For what? I remember Ciampa going one-on-one with The Miz. And then they wrestled the Revival on Monday Night Raw, or Ricochet and Aleister Black were a tag team because they were in the Dusty Classic. They didn't know what the fuck they wanted to do. Vince had called them up and booked them. That's it. Can you imagine what Triple H was probably thinking when he got that phone call? What? I got my biggest show of the year and you want to take my biggest 4 guys that are on that show now? For what? For what? So Vince McMahon does it again with Matt Riddle. Though it's not as serious of a creative issue, I'm looking at it in a different way where Matt Riddle could probably do more on the main roster than he could possibly do right now in NXT. AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, right? Chad Gable, even. Wrestling Chad Gable. Could be great. IC Championship. Imagine AJ Styles and Matt Riddle and Daniel Bryan, Matt Riddle and Sheamus. You got some good stuff over there, bro. You got some good stuff over there, but Matt Riddle's call-up changed a lot of plans, sent shockwaves through all WWE. I'm not surprised. This is Vince McMahon's motto. What Triple H creates, I will kill, bro. It's exactly what it is. Chelsea Green's being called up to the main roster as well. In regards to more call-ups, I think Dream is getting called up. I think Adam Cole is getting called up around SummerSlam. I think he drops the title to Keith Lee. I don't think Velveteen Dream beats Adam Cole on Sunday. I don't. I think Adam Cole holds that title till SummerSlam weekend, drops it to Keith Lee. Johnny Gargano's going to beat Keith Lee on Sunday. Dream gets called up. Chelsea Green gets called up. Matt Riddle gets called up. Those are the 3. Then you got Undisputed Era being called up in the summer, and that's it. That's it for the foreseeable future. That's it. That's it for the year, at least. I don't know what you're going to do with Karrion Kross, but I can envision Keith Lee as the NXT champion against a Karrion Kross, being that could be the main program on Wednesday night. I'm sold on that. Sign me up. That's the way I envision it. But Chelsea Green is another one being called up to the main roster. Sean Ross Sapp reports that there are plans in place to call up additional members of the NXT roster to Raw and SmackDown. The media outlet was told that as of last week, both men and women would be called up. Sapp speculated that the next NXT star to be called up would come to light before Wednesday's episode aired. And then we got WrestleTalk.com reporting that Chelsea Green is the other superstar that could be joining the main roster in the near future. It was noted that part of putting her over ahead of a likely call-up to the main roster was for her to team up with Charlotte last week on NXT and to get the win for her team. With Green split from Robert Stone and no longer being affiliated with the Robert Stone brand, coming across as rushed, the reason for that is due to the idea of her being moved to the main roster without Stone. So that's that. I don't really understand what Chelsea Green's going to add to a division that you already have that is not being used properly. So what is she walking into? The only women being used on television in a prominent manner are Asuka, Nia Jax, we got Charlotte, we got Sasha, and Bayley. And then Mandy's with Otis, Sonya's doing her own thing, Lacey Evans is there. Meanwhile, you got Naomi, you got Liv Morgan, you got Kairi Sane, you got Ruby fucking Riott not doing anything on the main roster. I mean, what are you going to do with Chelsea Green? Where are you going to put Chelsea Green? Where are you going to put her to make her a little bit more important? WWE hasn't even nailed down a fucking gimmick for Chelsea Green. Now you want to put her on the main roster? She's went through 3 transformations already in NXT. You can't even land on a fucking gimmick. You're going to put her on the main roster? Yeah, that bodes well. What is she going to add to a division with talent that you're not even utilizing right now? She's going to fall into that trap of just calling someone up for the sake of calling someone up. No matter where you put her, what is she going to give to that brand? Another pretty face with a great body. That's it. And she's great at what she does. I've been on record saying that I was at the first All In show, and Chelsea Green was in a fatal 4-way match with Britt Baker, Tessa Blanchard, right? She was there. She was the MVP of that entire show with what she did. And WWE has not made her feel special in any sense of the word. It's almost as if WWE-ized her before they called her up. Now, what I would do is I would keep, and I mentioned this on the NXT review, I mentioned you keep Sasha and Bayley on SmackDown as the top 2 head of their class, Charlotte and Asuka, and then everywhere else, you start plugging in names. Maybe we'll have fun with this on tomorrow's show, if I have time. We'll plug in names. The entire roster needs a reshuffle. Seriously. I don't give a shit what you do, how you do it, how you go about it. The entire roster needs a reshuffle. SmackDown's roster is terrible. Outside of Bayley and Sasha, you got Sonya Deville coming along. That's great. Outside that, Mandy Rose is with Otis. She's more than likely going to turn on Otis. Lacey Evans is fucking absolutely terrible. Dana Brooke and Carmella, please don't get me started. And then on Monday Night Raw, you got Nia Jax. Kairi Sane has got concussions every fucking week from Nia Jax. Who else you got? Ruby Riott, not being used, loser. Lost every match she's wrestled in since she's come back. Liv Morgan, loser. WWE started to push her, then they took her off TV. Started to push her, took her off TV. Who else you got on that roster? Natalya? Shayna? You're not even using Shayna the right way. You're going to bring up Chelsea Green. I don't know, man. I don't think she's going to add anything. I really don't. The women's division right now is one of the worst aspects of WWE television. So if Chelsea Green gets used, listen, I pray for the best, and I would not be surprised. I mentioned this on Wednesday, too. I would not be surprised if WWE brings up Chelsea Green and books her better than they ever booked Zack Ryder just to say, fuck you, Zack Ryder. I would not be surprised at the level of petty WWE will give us. And finally, guys, I want to end with this one. This was an interesting story because this was something I was very much looking forward to at WrestleMania 34. AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. Nakamura won the 2018 Royal Rumble. Fans began to get excited about the prospect of Nakamura going one-on-one with AJ Styles, a long-time rival. Coming out of their matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling, it would be the first time in a WWE ring on a WrestleMania stage. Now, while the match was okay, very underwhelming, for whatever reason, WWE, I do believe, sabotaged that match just so that Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar could do their thing at WrestleMania 34, which failed, by the way. The pair had matches in New Japan. The match was still decent. It didn't live up to the best WWE match ever motto that people were saying it was going to be, that many fans expected, and was certainly not the same level as their awesome match at Wrestle Kingdom 10 in January of 2016. Corey Graves had AJ Styles on after the bell, and he explained that he and Nakamura both felt expectations were too high going into the WrestleMania 34 match, and this is what he said, and I quote, "Expectations are way too high. I felt that going in. I know Nakamura felt that too. No matter what we have done in that match, the expectations were way too high. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. Fans are everything. They set the tone on what a great match is. It's how they respond to it. In Japan, they are so respectful, and when they do respond, it's huge. Wow, it's such an amazing match. Had the same match been done in WWE without the same response, it's going to be declared as that great of a match. It's not going to be declared that great of a match. Fans are everything. They dictate a great match. It's the reality and truth, and something a lot of people don't understand. The expectation was so high because of what we did at Wrestle Kingdom. And I was like, oh man, I still think WrestleMania was a great match." End quote. AJ states that his match with Shinsuke at WrestleMania was still pretty damn good. I don't think so. But it probably didn't live up to the incredibly lofty and unrealistic expectations that fans set on it. Shinsuke and AJ shared the ring just a few weeks ago on SmackDown in what I thought was a better match than their match at WrestleMania 34 in the first round of the Intercontinental Championship Tournament. The final of the tournament will see Styles take on Bryan. That a match everybody's been wanting and waiting for. It's already been taped, and it's said to be fantastic. Why did AJ and Shinsuke fail at WrestleMania? Was it the fact that fans had lofty expectations for this match? I don't think it's the fans' fault. It's WWE's fault. The fans expected something that these guys knew they could deliver on. They did not have the opportunity to deliver on anything. In fact, their last match in this series of matches during this stretch of time in 2018, I believe, was at Money in the Bank. And it was the last man standing match. That was the best match that they've had on pay-per-view that year. The WrestleMania match should have been the one that set the tone and was better than everything else they did that year. They did not have anywhere close to what we thought was a great match, or the match that they could have had. Why? Well, folks, it's not rocket science. When you put a match like that on so late in the show, on an 8-hour show, right before Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, WWE, first of all, they're going to kill whatever fucking comes before a Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar main event that nobody wanted to see because they were in their phase at that point to push the fucking agenda and make sure you got your Roman win, which we all thought was going to come and didn't come. So WWE sabotaged what they wanted to do for Roman and Brock. They sabotaged AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura because, God forbid, they had a better match than what Roman and Brock put on, which was one of the worst main events in the history of that fucking company, by the way. Now, an 8-hour show, you're going on right before Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. I mean, that's a double dagger right to the heart. You ain't coming back from that. If the match happened earlier in the show, then maybe things would have been a little bit different. Maybe the crowd would have reacted a different way. Sitting there for 8 fucking hours, and then you got Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar knowing that's going to be a fucking match nobody wants to see. Everybody was wanting to go home before AJ and Shinsuke took the stage. WWE didn't give them enough time. They didn't give them the proper spot. WWE really didn't put anything into the build to the match. So then when you expect fans to react a certain way to the match, you got no story going in. There was barely any story. Yes, their history was brought up, and that's it. They didn't really dive too much into that. WWE didn't put any effort into building a legit title match because it wasn't their priority. Roman and Brock was their priority. So, of course, AJ and Shinsuke suffered. I remember that clear as day. I expected this match to be one of the best matches all year in all of pro wrestling. And it ended up being one of the biggest letdowns ever in WrestleMania history. I don't know what else to tell you. There's a lot of reasons why it didn't deliver. It should have delivered. It was WWE's fault for doing what they did as to why it didn't deliver. It's not AJ and Shinsuke's fault. If this was Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns or anybody else, then it would have delivered. But AJ and somebody that WWE was kind of forced to push, they didn't really want to push. I mean, Shinsuke was dead before that. Yeah, he won the Royal Rumble. Great. Yeah, a logical decision that WWE came to and delivered on. But Shinsuke was dead before we even got to that point. You want to know why? Because he was buried by Jinder Mahal in 2017, both at SummerSlam and Hell in a Cell. Give me a break. Give me a break. I'm done here. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Off the Script. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know what you think down below in the comments. And I will be back on Saturday with more WWE content right here on the podcast. What we got lined up for tomorrow. Obviously, the ratings for Raw, NXT, and AEW. And the big story is Vince McMahon. He's reached out to all recently released wrestlers to come back for far less money. We'll talk about that and everything coming out of Monday Night Raw, and why the Raw and SmackDown rosters reportedly feel uneven. People are talking about Matt Riddle going to SmackDown, why SmackDown is getting Matt Riddle and Raw did not, and the differences between the Raw and SmackDown rosters. And Kurt Angle says his release from WWE was a blessing in disguise. So we'll talk about that on the podcast tomorrow, man. I'm getting out of here. I gotta go eat. I gotta go shower. I gotta do a bunch of things. Gonna relax for the rest of the night, and I'll see you guys tonight for SmackDown right here on the channel. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications, and follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. Guys, take care. I'll see you tonight for SmackDown right here on Off the Script. See you guys then.